say to you, I want you to film this because I want the world to know what's going on.
This is the Amazon rainforest, where the woman who could be the next leader of Brazil grew up. Marina Silva was the daughter of rubber tappers, illiterate until the age of 16. But in a highly contested election, she could become the next president of 200 million people. For more, join us here on BBC World News.
I'm Lucy Hawkins. The top stories this hour. Student pro-democracy protest leaders in Hong Kong say they will occupy government buildings if the territory's leader doesn't resign by Thursday. The first case of the Ebola virus diagnosed in the United States has been confirmed in Dallas, Texas. Statistics from the United States suggest 1 in 5 female students will be sexually assaulted during her time at college. It's such a serious problem that the White House has begun an investigation into how some of the colleges have handled victims' complaints. One of the colleges which has found itself under investigation is the University of Colorado in Boulder, and that's where the BBC Pop-Up team has spent the past month. Benjamin Zand has been hearing the students' experiences.
So we went into his room and we were kissing, and then he was trying to do more than kiss, and I repeatedly said no.
I was approached by a former sorority girl who was raped at a party on campus. She didn't want to tell me her name, but she did want to tell me her story.
He kept trying, and then we were kissing some more, and then he just at this point I was in my underpants, and he just did it.
The school is on notice of either sexual harassment, sexual violence, or anywhere in between, is that they have an obligation to independently investigate those allegations. We are doing everything and aggressively as possible to really deal with the situation. So that's how important this issue is we want to do everything we can to keep people safe.
There's no clear profile of what a sexual predator on campus looks like. But studies have shown that fraternity members are 3 times more likely than any other male to commit rape. And that's put fraternities and sororities and their alcohol-fueled house parties in the spotlight.
I think the frat mentality of being with a girl every weekend makes guys take advantage of girls.
Almost 400,000 college men belong to fraternities across the US. Millions more are alumni. Members say the organizations provide a chance for brotherhood, philanthropy, and leadership. They feel that they're too easily blamed when it comes to problems that plague the entire college community, like binge drinking or sexual assault. That, at least, is what they say off the record. Getting anyone from a fraternity to talk to me has proved difficult.
Fraternities are a little bit scapegoated in that way, that the values of the fraternity are misinterpreted very frequently.
This is Edmund. He's from a fraternity. He did want to talk.
The guys in your frat, do they understand what sexual assault is?
You need an absolute affirmative. You legally would actually need an affirmative from the girl to unbutton every single individual button of her shirt. I think that girls dressing up in extremely provocative outfits and drinking ridiculous amounts of alcohol and going to any party on campus, they're setting themselves up for a hookup of sorts. And they're starting the situation off poorly, very poorly.
It's on us to stop sexual assault.
To get in the way before it happens.
The White House has just released this It's On Us campaign, designed to encourage friends to intervene to stop abusive behavior.
Sexual assault.
Learn how and take the pledge at itsonus.org.
In response, some fraternities at other colleges are speaking out, pledging to work with their university to educate students. But here in Boulder, where the fraternities are off campus and not under the control of the college, so far, the fraternities are staying silent.
So a big issue in the United States right now. Let's take you to San Diego and speak to Leanne Ullman, who is behind a new app which attempts to prevent sexual assault. It's also a big issue here in the United Kingdom, so we're going to Manchester as well, in the north of the country, to talk to Jess Leshak, who recently graduated from Manchester University and is now a women's officer there. Thank you both very much for joining us. Leanne, I have to start with you. How does an app stop sexual assault?
Well, what we're trying to do with our app called Good to Go is provide a framework for young adults to learn the language of affirmative consent. We think that there's a lot of confusion that is around affirmative consent and what it actually means. Plus, when you add alcohol into the mix, it becomes a very confusing situation for young adults. And many of these young men and women are away from home for the first time, and they're experiencing situations without the guidance and protection of their parents and home. So we really feel that they're confused. They don't understand what affirmative consent is a lot of times. They don't know when they should be asking, and they don't know how to answer. So we're hoping that our Good to Go app will be a bit of a solution on the prevention side.
Jess, what do you think of the app?
Yeah, I think that the app is interesting. I think it's a really interesting concept, and I think it's really good that people are starting to talk about affirmative consent, meaning only yes means yes and not just no means no. I think that's often overlooked in consent campaigns, and actually consent can be really complicated and complex, and it's not an optional fluffy extra that you can go without. It's absolutely required, and if without it is rape. My concerns about the app would probably be how it would work in practice, because actually with consent you can withdraw at any time up to and including during sex, and that app, I don't think it really deals with that kind of that angle of consent. I also think that the good to go phrase, I'm not really sure to what extent that works either, because it doesn't actually mention sex, and good to go could be interpreted as many different ways, and I'm not sure if that really it gets across the complexity and the necessity of affirmative consent. But I think the idea is really good.
Leanne, how do you address those particular criticisms, particularly the one that consent can be withdrawn at any time?
Yes, that is absolutely clear to us, and we have a reminder screen every time somebody uses our app that reminds them that no means no, yes means yes, but can be changed to no at any time. And if those wishes are ignored, then it is very clearly sexual abuse. And that is absolutely the opposite of what we're about. We want to prevent sexual abuse, misunderstandings, miscommunication. So about the name, we were trying to come up with something that was positive, that was comfortable, and we understand that this can be a very awkward situation, and we were trying to make it a little bit easier for kids to bring it up and start to talk about it. So we just wanted something that wouldn't feel awkward to them, that would feel that it's something that they could say.
Jess, 1 in 5 young women at colleges in the US will be sexually assaulted. What is the picture here in the UK?
Well, in the UK, we obviously don't have the same fraternity culture as over in the US, but it doesn't mean that harassment and assault aren't just as big an issue. Some of the NUS research into lad culture and sexual assault over the last few years has shown that 68% of women would have experienced sexual harassment at university, and 1 in 7 would have been sexually assaulted. So yeah, it's quite similar.
Jess, Leanne, thank you very much for joining us.
No problem.
Thank you.
Now, we have some news of our own now. We are very proud to say that BBC World News has won 2 awards at the News and Documentary Emmys in New York on Tuesday. Our correspondents Jeremy Bowen, Lise Doucette, Ian Pannell and Paul Wood won outstanding continuing coverage of a news story for their efforts in Syria. And our correspondent Andrew Harding's work in the Central African Republic won